Today on Tanaka Homestead, we're going to thin out some seedlings. Right here we have our Japanese radish, also known as daikon. They're looking pretty good. You want them to be spaced about 4 to 6 inches apart. For the most part they are. And they're looking pretty good. They just need to be watered. Not all of them germinated for whatever reason. For example, I started with this row. This is what I planted first, and then I planted this row second. You can see some gaps here. I usually get my seeds from Park Seed. For whatever reason I didn't this time, but maybe I'll go back to Park Seed. And it's not that these don't look healthy. They look great, but I'm used to all of them germinating, so I'm not exactly sure what the issue is. But I did try to plant some seeds here in the areas that didn't germinate initially, so that's why some of them look a little younger than what they should be for the row that they're in. But yeah, each week I come out. My trend, what I tend to do is to come out each week, and especially if there's overcrowding, I kind of pull the seedlings as I go until eventually I get to the amount of space I want between each plant. But yeah, for the most part, these are already about 4 to 6 inches apart. I probably could pull this guy here, but I'll let these continue to grow. But yeah, that's about 4 inches. These are about 4 inches apart. So these I'm okay with. Over here we have our black seeded Simpson lettuce. Some of these are looking really pretty. They're still very small. And then we have some young ones. I ended up replanting in some areas because, once again, I don't know why they're not germinating like they normally do. The only difference, like I said before with the radish, is that I purchased the seeds from a different company. So I may go back to Park Seed because I've had really good luck with them. With lettuce, you want to make sure that it's spaced appropriately because you don't want them to be bunched together. Well, none of them you want to be bunched together because then you run the risk of other diseases and fungal diseases and insects and all that. But 8 to 12 inches apart is what you want these. Now, these are still growing. And so, for example, I have this guy here and then this guy and this guy. When these get large enough, I'll pull this one, most likely. Okay, unless the other ones look better, then I'll do the opposite. But these are still growing, so I don't want to pull them yet because you always want to make sure that you have the strongest seedling. Now over here you can see, for example, still young, a lot of space, so I'll probably throw an extra seed there. These are okay. When they get bigger, I will go ahead and space those out better. But for example, over here, you see how these are grouped? I don't like that. So I pulled that. So that little guy's there. There's 2 here. That little guy's there. I'm gonna pull that one. So that's what I mean by thinning as they grow. I just kind of, if they're overcrowded, I do that. But these still need some time before I really thin them out. With these guys, I'll probably thin out this one and maybe this one so that we have this one and this one, but it really depends on what looks the healthiest. So you can kind of cater your picking that way. Now over here, we have our carrots. I've already spaced these out, at least this row. You want to make sure that your carrots are about 3 inches apart, and I've already done that here. These are looking pretty good. You notice that some of these seedlings look a lot younger than the other ones because I had to go back and replant, which once again, I don't usually have to do. Here's a weird, this is so weird. It's like a weird fungus. It looks like a noodle. I don't know what's going on here with this. I usually don't have this, and I've never seen this before. I did get dirt from a different place, so maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But the second row that I have here, they're spaced apart pretty good. I would say already about 3 inches. Okay, but up in this row here, we have some work to do. So you can see some crowding here with these. So I kind of, like I said, I kind of pick as I go. I don't like picking when they're super young because I don't know what's going to be the healthiest. But like this group here, I'll do that for now. And then I'll go back. See, there's like 3 here. I don't know what happened. But you got to make sure you don't damage the other. So I'm going to leave these for now. But, well, you know what? I'll pull that. So that, I'll pull this. We're okay there. I'm gonna pull this. And we're about 3 inches apart. It's a bit of a hot mess right here. Look at this. Here we go. I'm gonna do that. This is a hot mess. That little guy, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. So I'm gonna pull. Keep that one there. So I'm just about 3 inches apart. And I don't make it perfect right away. You know, like, kind of do every other one. The bigger seedlings I try to keep. This clump is gonna go. And as much as there we go. That's all I do. Try to make these a little thinner. So it's not so, got a little carried away over here with the seedlings. But you see, I'm just thinning it out, and then I'll go back and thin again when they get a little bigger. But at least get some space there. So over here it looks pretty bad. Let's see here. I'll pull that group. And I always try to keep the ones that are look like they're doing pretty good. There we go. There we go. Good. So now that looks a lot better. Now they're not in a perfect line. I don't know. Masson must have got a little carried away, which is okay. They'll still grow. But now they're a lot more thinned out than what they were. Give them space to grow. Now here's our Chinese cabbage. These need to be about 12 inches apart. And I try to let them grow as much as they can. But if you don't space them out, for example, this guy needs to go. It's not even gonna get the sunlight it needs. And look, I don't know what happened there. Okay. These are clearly not spaced out, but maybe I can transplant him. This guy is never going to get the sunlight it needs. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that. This guy here is already falling over. So I'm going to pull him. These are close. I can maybe try to transplant them. And actually, I think I'll try to do that. So let me do this. I'm going to scoot one of these here. I think we can do it. So I'm going to dig deep enough that I don't mess with the root. And I bet this does just fine here. I've done this before. There we go. Now, seedlings or any type of plant with a taproot, if you mess the taproot up, forget it. Your plant's done. I learned that with sunflowers the hard way. If there's a taproot and you mess that taproot up, the plant's gonna die. So I've definitely, I've done that. But you see these here? These could certainly use some thinning. I'm not gonna thin them all to 12 inches apart, but I'm gonna go thin them out a little bit more than what they are now. And then in another week, I'll do the same thing. In another week, I'll do the same thing. All right, so I'm just gonna go through now, maybe every 2 or 3. You see, and this is all I do. I do this each week. I just kind of pull them. You know, I'll pull that one and this one. Like I said earlier, our poor little garden needs some water. So we're gonna continue to water the garden, and I'm gonna continue to watch our little seedlings and continue to pull them out as needed until they get to the appropriate space that I want in between each of our plants. Definitely a process, but a fun one at that. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do click that notification bell, and happy gardening. Bye.